Hey guys, so in this interview, I was able to speak with Bernardo Faria, five times world champion in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and it's an amazing conversation. He goes over the biggest mistakes that BJJ schools are making, the best books that everyone really should read if you run a school. Talks about why small schools are sometimes much better than large schools, the marketing strategy he's using today to get new students, and why everyone in the community needs to have a YouTube channel. We go over a lot of good things here, and I think if you run a school or you're thinking about running a school, you're going to find this really, really valuable. So without further ado, Bernardo Faria. So I am here today with Bernardo Faria. Bernardo is a five-time World Jiu-Jitsu champion as a black belt from the Alliance Jiu-Jitsu team. He holds an extensive competitive resume with titles in the world's top tournaments such as the European Championship, Pan American Championships, and Brazilian National Jiu-Jitsu Championship. In February and March 2013, Bernardo was ranked first in the IBJJF World Ranking of all divisions and was chosen as the best jiu-jitsu athlete of 2015. Bernardo received his black belt from instructor Ricardo Marquez in 2008 and moved to Alliance Jiu-Jitsu Sao Paulo team to train with Fabio Gurgel in 2009. Bernardo currently runs his own jiu-jitsu academy in Bedford, Massachusetts, and is a co-owner of BJJfanatics.com. Bernardo, welcome to the show.
Hey, Mike. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here talking to you.
Yeah, so I've got a few questions. One thing that people, obviously you're very well known in the BJJ community for your competitive career, but I'm not sure if many people know that you're also active with BJJ Fanatics. So I was wondering if you could talk about, how you got started there and what you guys are looking to accomplish with that side of your business.
Yeah, in 2014, I was like in the age of my career, right? I was the year that I got second in my division in the worlds, and the next year was the best year of my career, 2015. But anyway, in 2014, I was 28 years old or 29, something like that. So I started thinking already, like, man, what am I gonna do after my career? I'm only gonna have a jiu-jitsu school as everybody does. But I always tried to find something that I could do that would also work my mind, like I didn't want to just be the guy who works with your body all the time. And then I started realizing that I was teaching like 2, 3 classes per day at Marcelo Garcia School, and I was also training twice a day. But I had a bunch of free time, many times between like 2:30 p.m. and 5:30 p.m. I had nothing to do, and I was looking people's Instagram, and I was like, I gotta find something to do. And then coincidence, I met the one who's my business partner today, Michael Zenga, and he invited me to make a seminar in Boston, and I went there, and then he invited me to teach him a private lesson. So he invited me to sleep on his house. I did, and that day we went to sleep like 5:30 a.m. and he was showing me all the online business that he had and this and that. And then I felt completely like in love with that type of work. I was like, man, I want to do this too. And then he started giving me some books to read. And then 1 week later, this book is done. Give me another one. And that's how it started. And then my main thing was Facebook in the beginning. So and he was not even like really really good on Facebook, but he understood how important was Facebook for any like online business. So he started kind of giving me the direction of what should I learn, what should I focus, and I started trying to learn by myself. And this was like 6 months just like studying and playing around with Facebook, paying some ads, making different posts, until we launched our first product that was on BJJ Super Deals. And so that's how we started. We started with a daily deal website called BJJ Super Deals. And now we integrated both, so it's now it's all on BJJ Fanatics. And the goal is like to keep doing what we love, So we love jiu-jitsu. So instead of just training jiu-jitsu and competing in jiu-jitsu, now we want to try to share jiu-jitsu with the world as much as possible.
Yeah.
So our mission is pretty simple. We try to bring the best jiu-jitsu guys over here. We put them in front of the camera. We shoot a video. and then we put in the market on bjjfanatics.com. So
Yeah, so speaking of putting like the best people together, I know that recently, like, 'cause I train, and in my school, I couldn't stop hearing people tell me about how excited they were for the John Danaher DVD.
yep.
And so I was just curious if you could talk about, how that came together. And also, I know there was like some audio things. So like, what did you guys like learn in the process, or, what did you learn, about the way he approaches things? Because I get the sense that he's like a very cerebral person, and, like aside from the technical stuff, I feel like there's something else happening there. And I'm just curious to get your take on it.
Yeah, so it was a huge honor for us to work with John, right? I think nowadays he might be like the guy who is being talked the most in jiu-jitsu. Everybody knows who he is. I was even joking with him another day because there was one day that we shot a video and then we went to watch the UFC that was in Brooklyn.
Oh yeah.
And it was like me, him, and Michael. And he was wearing his rash guard and this and that. And I was super surprised at that. Like, probably like, no, I mean, like in jiu-jitsu, people know who I am and this and that, but not too much outside of jiu-jitsu, right? So probably like 3 or 4 people that were in the UFC came to talk with me. Hey, Bernardo, I know you, blah, blah. Man, with him was like 30 people, it's 40 people. He was probably being recognized more than the fighters.
Yeah.
So then you can understand like in which level he is about being well known here in West. So it was a huge pleasure to work with him, and he's a different type of person because he's not just a jiu-jitsu instructor, right? He was also a philosophy teacher,
Yes.
so he knows how to explain things really, really well. And in the end of the day, when you buy a instructional jiu-jitsu video, if the guy is a world champion or not, you care more about how much he can help you than actually who he is.
Yeah.
I think people relate very well with John because they know that John is going to be the one who's going to help him the most because he's the one who can explain the techniques the best. So was the best selling video on our store by far. And as everything in life, right, when something can't go wrong, it ends up going wrong.
Yeah. Murphy's Law.
But we had a little problem with the audio in the first version. And but in the end of the day, I think that was not a bad thing because I think you create trust on people, not when things goes right, is when things goes wrong. So we had this little problem, but me and Michael, especially Michael, I'm not gonna take the credit here, was the one he handled it really well. And we were honest with John, like, man, we were not expecting that this little audio thing would happen, but it did happen. Now let's fix it. So, and then we fixed all our own expenses, and we did our best to make the best version possible in the next video, and we were able to get it. So now John is happy, and this is what matters for us, like that the customers and John are happy, and everybody seems very happy. And I was very happy to see like how even the customers approached that, because I think when you own a company and you do something wrong, but you take it, you say like, guys, we made this little mistake and we're gonna fix and we're gonna give it to you the next version for free as well.
Yeah.
I think people appreciate that as well, right? I think people appreciate that a lot because in the end of the day, people trust on people, not on companies. So then when they see that there is one person over there who actually also does mistakes, it's even better. So I'm super happy with the support we got from the customers as well. And I'm happy to see that John is happy.
Yeah.
Again. So we are launching a new instructional video with him that's going to be all about back attacks. That was probably like the best back attacks I ever saw, And so we're very excited. So.
One thing you mentioned was how he can teach, and you had actually said that students are more interested in seeing what they're gonna get from a teacher rather than like how big of a name that they are. And so I was curious if you could talk a little bit more about that in terms of when you approach teaching in your school, like do you have like a specific approach, or do you have a way that, you are trying to make sure that you're giving like the best teaching and the best instruction possible? Is there a framework you're working with, or how do you make sure that you're able to deliver that within your own academy?
Yeah, like when I'm teaching, I try to I try to understand how the students are thinking, So I try to make it as much simple as possible and hit the points that I think it's gonna be important for them. Because when you go teach a jiu-jitsu technique, you can talk about 1,000 details on that technique, but then if you start teaching every single detail, the students will not understand the most important part. So when I'm teaching, I try to take like the three most important points of that technique and hit those very quick. And I think the fact that I have done so much instructional videos in my life, I'm pretty much used about teaching. So I think I'm doing a good job.
Yeah, I think you're doing it. I was actually, as you were answering this question, I was thinking to myself, I'm like, you probably are, among the top in terms of like influence of teaching jujitsu, because through BJJ Fanatics, like you guys are selling all of these instructional DVDs. And so you've actually had your hand at teaching on a very large scale. And so you're actually in a very unique position to be able to answer that question, which is pretty awesome. So one thing I was curious about is what, in your opinion, what do you think the best way to introduce a new white belt to the sport is? If you have somebody who's brand new to jiu-jitsu and they're coming, to a school, to any school for the first day, what do you think that the best process is to make sure that they have a great experience and are just dying to get some more instruction?
Yeah, one thing we do here at Alliance that I think it's important is that we treat the beginners different than the higher belt, right? So in many jiu-jitsu schools, one thing I see happening a lot that in my view it's kind of like a mistake. It's the new student comes in, first class they teach him how to do triangle, de la riva, and he doesn't even know what jiu-jitsu is yet. And then in the end of the class, or maybe next day or 2 days later, oh, go row with that guy over there. And it's not fun to row if you don't know jiu-jitsu, like you first gotta learn jiu-jitsu. So on my school, I follow the alliance system that it's from Fabio Gurgel. So these students don't row until they get the second stripe. So it takes around like, if he's training 3 times per week, might take around like 3 months until he does the first row. And I think for the growth of the sport, that's very important because you stop losing students. It's the way that most of the schools lose students is because they row in the first 2 or 3 weeks, they got hurt or they got smashed, and then they quit jiu-jitsu forever. And in their mind, jiu-jitsu sucks.
Yeah.
So on my school, I follow the alliance system, and there is no sparring for the fundamentals class. And after he receives 2 stripes, now he knows jiu-jitsu. So now he's ready for little by little start rolling. So now it's going to be way more fun for him because now he knows how to play the game. He knows what his opponent's trying to do, what he got to avoid, what he got to try to do.
Yeah.
And I think this is really, really important. And class, many times I see like higher level belts, like purple belts, brown belts, black belts, blue belts coming to this class as well.
Oh, the fundamentals classes.
Yeah, and I completely understand that because not everybody does jiu-jitsu like to win the world championship, right? So probably some days they wake up like, oh man, I want to train, but I don't want to go hard today. I don't want to do spar. So they come and they do the fundamentals class. They just go and do the techniques, the drills. And that's it for that day. And then maybe the next day they go. So I think it's almost like a restaurant, like you're going to have a big menu with different type of foods and, so for now in my school, I'm splitting like between beginners and advanced, but at some point I'm going to include the intermediate level as well.
So Bernardo, one thing that I've noticed about you is you just take up learning. You know, like no other person I've actually ever seen. It seems like from jujitsu to online marketing, you very much like can being a business owner, a brick and mortar business owner, you're constantly learning. And I was wondering how jujitsu has influenced the way that you approach learning a new subject. Yeah, we'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, no, that's kind of true, and every good entrepreneur says that you gotta find what you're good at and do more of what you're good, right? And honestly, I'm not sure yet what's my strength on business. But one thing I know is that I love learning, Like, I love learning anything, Even if I'm not gonna use it, I want to learn it. And that's exactly how I was in jiu-jitsu, In jiu-jitsu, I had probably like 4 or 5 techniques that I tried to master and be the best I could on those techniques. But I never closed my eyes to learn any other technique. So good example that everybody knows this technique is, for example, berimbolo was never my thing. I never liked to do berimbolo. But I always wanted to learn, Like I always paid attention on Gianni Grippo doing and Marcelo's because I wanted to know what was going on, Because even if you don't use it, someone is gonna use it against you, so you better know what's going on. So I try to keep the same mindset in business as well, And I love learning, It's such a cool thing, And I think nowadays the world is going so fast that I think, for example, your strength, let's call like it's SEO that I know, and maybe now you're jumping to the Facebook ads as well. If you stop doing that for 1 or 2 years, someone who started doing that today is gonna be better than you in 2 years, Like so that's how I think, You gotta always keep open-minded to learn everything, even if you're not gonna use it.
And in terms of the school, what are some of the biggest things that you've learned now that your academy has been open since the beginning of this year. On your birthday, you said you opened
Yeah,
it, right?
yeah,
So
January.
January 29th, you opened your school. So what have been like some of the biggest lessons that you've learned now that you've taken this next step?
Um, Let me see. Yeah, just like I before my school, I was only business owner for online business, right? And I never had like a physical business in my life, so it's been a different experience, And making this school was a little challenge for me because I already had a business that was going very very well, right? And then I decided make it anyway because in my mind I was like, man, how can I not have a jiu-jitsu school after all these years training and competing and this and that, So it's always a little challenge about like how to use my time, because I still teach. Now I'm teaching a little less, but I still teach. I gotta take care of the school. I gotta take care of the online business as well, and I gotta live my life as well, right? So
Yeah.
it's a lot going on, but it's cool, I think it's better being busy than being free. So, but it's a little challenge, So nowadays, for example, I'm teaching around once a day, and I'm lucky that I have great instructors at the school as well, Mateus Gonzaga and Aaron. So they're helping me a lot as well, and so everything is going.
Along those lines, I wanted to ask you because we were speaking previously that a lot of school owners, they feel that they're sort of like chained to their school as much as they may love it, as much as they love their students. So what are some of the things that you've learned to be able to build this school, but at the same time to be able to get a little bit more space so you can have freedom in your life? What are some of the things that you're doing to allow that to happen?
Yeah, like my school, I made it in a different style, right? Like most of the people, they want to build a huge school and this and that. In my mind, I was like, man, I already have another business going on. So instead of make that very big school, I'm gonna make one small one, and then I'm gonna know every student. It's gonna be more like a family environment. And so I made it like this, but now the schedule has to be big, right? Because the school is not very big. So I can't teach every class, right? Because I have other things going on as well. So I think this is what I'm learning the most is like how to I have to be there and take care of my students as well. But in the same time, I have another business going on as well. So I got to manage my time really well, you know. So nowadays I'm teaching around one class per day, and I have Mateus supporting me teaching the other class. But I'm always making sure to go there and also do my workout and see everyone and spend time with the students as well.
Yeah. I was curious, what's your current strategy for getting new students?
Yeah, so my main thing in the e-commerce was Facebook ads, right? So I'm pretty good on that. But then one guy called Michael Tesalona, and I'm talking to him right now. No, you were jumping to Facebook ads as well, right? Your main thing was SEO, and you offered me to do the stuff for me on my school. And I can't say bad things about you, only good things, and you did a great job, and it's working really well. All the campaigns you have been doing and everything, and it's kind of fun because it's pretty much the same thing as like the e-commerce, right? So on e-commerce, we have to do a good job on SEO, we have to do a good job on Google AdWords, we have to do a good job on Facebook ads, on email marketing, on YouTube. So it's this mix of things that makes your website grow. So this school I'm feeling that's kind of the same thing. So I have a person who does the SEO and Google AdWords. You are supporting me with the Facebook ads. That was actually what I like to do the most as well. And I have an email list as well. I'm on YouTube as well. So you got to be everywhere on Instagram and this and that.
I was curious about YouTube since you mentioned that because you've got an amazing YouTube channel. I've been following you for a while, but what is the biggest benefit of having that channel? Or are there any like surprising things that have come out of it that maybe you didn't anticipate in the beginning?
Yeah, I think like in the way the world goes nowadays, like you feel way more comfortable to do not nowadays, it was always like that, right? You feel way more comfortable to do business with people you know than with people that you don't know, right? Like imagine if you're gonna start a new online business. I think maybe you would feel comfortable doing that with me because we know each other than doing that with a guy who you've never seen before. So the goal of the YouTube channel is to give free content to everyone, you know, like with the best guys, because I'm always meeting them to make videos. And then doing that, more people know you, more people see how you work, more people see how you think, and then they will support you better as well. So that's kind of the goal. So my goal was just like to support the community as much as possible, and and be up there, you know, be there, be there, be there, be there, be there, be there, be there. So I'm pretty much posting like 2, 3 videos per week, always with different guys, this and that. And one thing I like doing as well, it's like jiu-jitsu is such a word of high ego people, right? You see a jiu-jitsu, many times you see a jiu-jitsu black belt, and he lives on his own world of techniques. He doesn't want to learn anything, and his jiu-jitsu is the best, and blah, blah. So in my YouTube channel, I'm the opposite. I want to learn from everyone, exactly as we were talking here. Purple belt, from brown belt, from black belt. If I see that the guy has a good technique, I want to learn from him. And that's exactly how I think. Like everyone has something to teach you. In jiu-jitsu, doesn't matter which belt the guy is. Maybe it's a very near detail, maybe it's a technique, maybe it's a mindset, whatever. So on my YouTube channel, I bring everyone and I share the technique that the guy knows with the community.
So you were touching upon, some black belts and knowing, they think they know, jujitsu, or they want to like they're staying in their lane almost. I was wondering, because you've traveled the world giving seminars, are there any mistakes or common mistakes that you see school owners making, that you see like over and over again?
Man, I think this thing about not having a class for beginners is kind of like a big mistake because the new student's gonna get hurt, and many times not working well with the schedule as well. Many jiu-jitsu schools, they have class like 12 o'clock and 7 o'clock. and it's everyone together, and they could have like a way bigger schedule, you know. I understand it's not easy, you know, because you need more instructors, you need to delegate more, but I think that's one thing too. And kind of like I think many jiu-jitsu owners, they think that the only job is to go there and teach the class, you know. And it's way more than that, right? It's a business, so there's a lot of details, you know. So yeah, so these are the kind of things I think.
Along those lines, like what books have you read, or what resources have you come across that can help school owners to understand the business side of it a little bit more, or to help them to get the handle on
Yeah,
that.
there are two books that I like a lot. One is more like for instructors itself, not really like for the business owner. That for sure you might have read this book as well. That this was the most impactful book that I ever read in my life. I think is the How to Make Friends and Influence People. And this is a really good one because that's exactly how every jiu-jitsu instructor should be. You know, like how to know your students' names, how to treat them well, how to, you know. So that's a good one. And the other one that was really good too was from one karate guy. That the name of the book was called Small Dojo, Big Profit. So it's a really good one too.
What did you get from Small Dojo Big Profits?
They try to make you understand that the, having that very big school, most of the times you are not profitable, you know. So in the end of the day, you love jiu-jitsu and this and that, but you also have a lot of bills to pay, right? So maybe starting small and doing it in the right way, it's better to maybe one day reach that very big school that you want. But you gotta read it.
Yeah, I definitely got to read it. That's awesome. Yeah, and it's very it's surprising to me that you mentioned how to win friends and influence people, because I always think of it as like as a business book, but I never thought of how it relates from an instructor to his students. But it's almost even more helpful for someone like in that position, because you're working with students or working with people in a much larger clip.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
That's excellent. All right, so I think that's about it. Was there anything else? Was there anything else you wanted to go? Oh, I did have one final question I was curious about.
Yeah.
So you've got this great YouTube channel. Do you think it makes sense? I know a lot of people might be thinking to themselves like, oh, Bernardo, 5 times world champion. Of course, he can have a YouTube channel. Like, do you think that that's something that just anybody can do, or do you think it even would help just any random
Anybody,
person?
anybody can do, you know. I know a lot of guys that they were not like a jiu-jitsu star, and they have a YouTube channel like way bigger than mine. And now they're kind of like a jiu-jitsu star, right? So some examples here, like for example, Stefan Casting from Canada, and he has a huge YouTube channel, and he helps the community a lot. There is one guy called Chill. His nickname is Chill. That I even made
Chewy, yeah.
Chill, and super nice guy. I love him, and he has such a cool YouTube channel as well. And and now everybody knows who he is, you know. So and he's a good level black belt as well. So I think any person can do it, and I think the YouTube channel is also good to train your persistence because you gotta always be putting videos out there, you know. So you gotta be persistent, and any person can do it, you know. And as everything in life, it starts very small, you know, and little by little you keep growing. But as long as you keep going, the channel is always grow.
Yeah,
And
well, this is the first. This is the first video of this channel, and so I did want to thank you so much, Bernardo, for the time, and I feel like it's interesting to end on this note, because this is like a challenge for me to like keep this going and make sure we get some more people and spread some good information around.
yeah, thank you, Mike. It's very cool, man.
Yeah.
Very good talk.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bernardo.
Thanks.